This is a very short lesson to introduce you to the idea of participles. Now, the simple definition of a participle is a verbal adjective. So it's formed from a verb, but it's going to modify a noun. So it's an adjective. In English, the only participles we really have are the ones that end in ing, and we also have passive participles, ones that end in ed. So we could say the walking boy. Where walking is the participle, it's modifying boy, but it's formed from a verb. And this could be, in Greek, any case, right? I saw the walking boy, in which case walking would modify boy, and that there is the accusative. Or ed, I saw the walked dog. Where walked, again, is modifying dog. Now in Greek, because it's an adjective, we're going to have to be able to decline it. We're going to have various tenses, voices, and all the other thing. We'll cover those in later lessons. Here I just want to give you three basic ideas about participles. The first is, how do we translate participles? Participles are much more common in Greek than they are in English, and there are many ways that we can treat them when we go from Greek into English. So the simplest way is the ing, the singing boy. And we see a participle, we see ing, and this, by the way, is going to be a present participle. We'll do other things with other tenses. It's also very common to use a relative clause. So now all of these phrases are actually going to be identical. So we say, the boy who is singing, where who is singing in Greek is equivalent to this singing. It'll be one word that we can translate as who is singing. So we can use a relative clause to translate the participle. We can use a temporal clause. The boy, while singing, or when he was singing, while he was singing, and so on. So this, again, this temporal clause is going to be the same word as singing was. We can do a causal clause. The boy, because he was singing. And so where because he was singing is, again, the same form as singing. It's just context is going to tell you what's going on. Or we can use the concessive. The boy, although he was singing. And this is sometimes marked in Greek by using the particle chi pair. So when you see a chi pair, that you can sort of translate as although, and then you'll see the participle singing. So you can translate the participle in many different ways in Greek. They'll always be the same form, though. Now, the tenses of the participle, there are actually going to be 4 tenses of the participle. We're just going to cover the 3 tenses you know right now: present, future, and aorist. So the present tense is going to show simultaneous action. The boy while singing, right? I see the boy while he is singing. These 2 things are happening at the same time, so we're going to use the present tense of the participle. That should actually say the aorist tense. Perfect is going to be a little different. The aorist tense indicates prior action. So the boy after he sang. So one of these ways that we can treat, again, temporal, but using the aorist. So after he sang, the boy after he sang ran away. Where this after he sang will just be a single form, a single word, the aorist participle. And in the future tense, because we don't really have a good way to deal with this in English, the relative clause is probably going to be your easiest way, although the future participle can also sometimes indicate purpose. For your purposes, start now with a future relative clause. So the boy who is about to sing, or the boy who will sing. And again, each one of these things that I'm underlining, although there are several words in English, there'll be one word in Greek. And then finally, the last thing to look at is the position of the participle. Now, you remember that there are 2 different positions for adjectives, and the participle can go in those 2 different positions too. It can go in the attributive position, that is between the article and the noun, and it's just going to be a simple description. So, the boy who is singing. We're just using it to describe the boy. The other position, the predicative position, is a circumstantial participle. It shows us the circumstances. And this is a very common way to use the participle. So I saw the boy while he was singing. Right? The circumstances of me seeing him were his singing. And in this case, that participle would be in the predicative position outside of that article-noun pair. So those are the three basic things you need to know about participles. Remember, this is just going to be one word that in English we have to translate with a bunch of different words. And now we're going to move on. In next lessons, we'll cover the present participles, all three voices, the future participles, all three voices, and then finally the aorist participles, all three voices. But don't worry, you already know how to conjugate, how to decline these participles. It's just a matter of recognizing what types of endings to use.